organizational behavior that we had discussed. There are differences between individuals. That point we had discussed. We had also discussed the second point, where, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So whole person means the complete person. When a person is working in an organization, or when a person is hired by the organization, he is hired as a complete person. Only his skills or knowledge is not hired. His emotions, his feelings, his thoughts, his views, everything is inclusive of that particular person. So that we have to understand that a person is having feelings, thoughts also attached to him. So if a person is not performing, there can be a reason for that less performance or no performance, because we have recruited the person as a whole. We have to respect his feelings. Now, next one is behavior of an individual is caused. Again, it is very simple that every person, if he is behaving in a strange manner, that behavior is always caused. Caused by what? Caused by some or the other thing. There might be some problem at his place. That could be one of the reason why he's strangely behaving in the organization suddenly. There could be someone who might be not feeling well or who might be hospitalized, and because of that the person is not concentrating as he was concentrating earlier in his work. So the manager or the management has to understand these things, then only they can concentrate on the employees in a better manner. Next point is related to an individual has dignity. So every person, every human being should be treated in a dignified manner, as everyone is having dignity, no matter what is the designation of that particular person, whether the person is sitting at the top of the organization or whether the person is at the lowest level of the organization. A person who is brooming the premises, who is doing brooming in the premises of the organization, should also be treated as a human being and with dignity. That is one of the fundamental concept of organizational behavior, that if you are dealing with human beings, treat them like a human being. Don't treat them like the other tools of production, like raw material, like machine, or like any other thing. If we are dealing with human beings, we have to deal with them in a dignified manner. Then only they will feel motivated, then only they will be attached to the organization, then only they can concentrate in a better manner on their work. Next one, organizations are social systems. To that point, we have already discussed when we were discussing the evolution of organizational behavior. Quickly, we will take a look at what does it mean. Organizations are social systems. As we had already discussed that a human being or an employee is also called as a social animal. So we cannot live alone. When we are working together in a team, in a group, or in an organization, if everyone is going to the another direction, all the team is not going in one direction. When all the employees or all the members of the team, if they choose different direction to achieve the goal, it is not possible that team to achieve the goal. So when the employee enjoy the working in each other's company, then we can say that yes, this particular team, this particular group of people, set of people or organization will definitely proceed towards one goal, and that goal is to make the organization number one, or to make the organization more and more profitable. So here the employees as a team, as an organization, as a group should enjoy working with each other. Next one is mutuality of interest. Again, the concept is very simple and it is self-explanatory. When we talk about mutual interest, mutual means both, the interest of both the parties. And here both the parties are what? One party is organization, the other party is employees who are working in the organization. When we talk about mutual interest, one of the fundamental concept of organizational behavior is mutual interest. Both should try to achieve their interest. The organization, if treats the employees with dignity, if better working condition or better working environment is provided to the employees, then employee will make sure that the organization achieves the target. When the organization achieves the target, that means organization is achieving its desired profitability. And if the organization is having a mindset that they continuously want to motivate the person for better results, what they will be doing? They will try to give more salary, more incentives, more perquisites, more benefits to the employee, and better working condition or better working environment to the employees, because they know that if employees are happy, they are going to produce more, and the wastage will be less, and the quality of the product or after sale quality will definitely increase if the employees are kept happy. And if everything is increasing, automatically the organization in terms of profit also increase. So that is what mutuality of interest is. Then need for management. Now, why it is said that it is needed in the management that they should be aware of this concept called organizational behavior? Why it is needed? Why it is said that it is need for the management? Very important. Can anyone explain me this? What is need for management? Why it is said that it is indeed essential for the management to have a good knowledge about organizational behavior? Why? ऐसा क्यों कि this is also regarded as need of the management? Need क्यों? I hope that my voice is clear to all.
Sir, Nikhil is here.
Yes.
प्रत्येक एम्प्लॉईचा बॅकग्राऊंड वेगळा असतो आणि नेचर वेगळा असतो त्यामुळे.
Absolutely. And that is why the organization should have very good, correct.
The activities
Next.
of business.
That is,
Yeah, that is to coordinate the activities. So means for the handle the employees and the all and the respective people, their businesses and all, and the management's requirement. So we management staff
need
for
the
that.
knowledge of organizational behavior or human psychology, right?
Correct. Yes.
Very good. So it is correct. So in simple word, we can say that as human beings are considered as complicated species, it is not easy to understand human beings. It is not easy to predict their behavior in short term and in long term. It is very difficult. But if the management is having good knowledge of that human psychology, and if they are providing better environment or better facilities for the employees to work in an organization, then definitely the things will be positive for the organization. That is why it is needed by the management. Now, next one is importance of organizational behavior. Very simple. It uses scientific research to help us understand and predict the organizational life. So yesterday's lecture, we had discussed that organizational behavior is also considered as half science. It is not a pure science. Why it is not pure science? That we had discussed in yesterday's lecture. Why it is called as half science? Because whatever models which are framed by the psychologists, they are based on some scientific findings or scientific calculations, or scientific tools are used to draw the conclusions of various models which are implemented in various organizations under organizational behavior. So what the first point says is that this particular one of the important feature of organizational behavior is it not only uses the experience of the manager, but it also uses the scientific tools to study the behavior of employee. Before the emergence of organizational behavior, the behavior of the employee was studied only by the manager's experience. If manager is having past experience of say 20 years or more than 20 years, depending on that particular experience, he used to predict that whether a particular employee will be a productive employee or not so productive employee, whether a particular employee will be staying for a short duration in the company, or he will be there for a longer duration of the company. So every decision was predicted on the basis of experience only earlier. Nowadays, after the emergence of this discipline called organizational behavior, not only experience, but experience of the manager or the organization's top management is now clubbed with the scientific tools, scientific techniques which are carried out to conduct research on predicting the human behavior. That is why it is said that it uses scientific research. Next one, OB helps us to influence organizational event. Now, how it is helping to influence organizational events? The thing is very simple, that as we are dealing with human beings in the organization, in organizational behavior, we can influence certain organizational events also. Organizational event also means we can improve the profit of the organization or the employees if everyone come together, form a group or join in a team, everyone proceeds to the similar direction with 100% energy and efforts, then what will happen? They will influence the organizational event in a most positive manner by achieving the target or exceeding the target set by the company. 500 लोग हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, अगर 500 की 500 100% अगर अपना देने का अगर निश्चित कर लें और दे एक्चुअल में, तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने जो भी टारगेट सेट किया होगा वो टारगेट हमेशा आउट पास होगा, हमेशा एक्सीड होगा. And that is how they can influence the organizational events. Plus, the effect can sometimes be negative also. Because of some negative situation which exists in the organization, there can be whatever target set by the company may not be able to achieve that target, or there can be loss for the company also. So that is why it is very essential to predict the human psychology. अगर ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी को हम समझ सके तो लोगों को प्रिडिक्ट करना आसान हो जाता है. वी कैन नॉट से दैट वी कैन डू 100% प्रिडिक्शन, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम आवर प्रिडिक्शन कैन बी करेक्ट इफ वी आर अवेयर ऑफ human psychology. Now next one is OB helps the individual understand himself and herself and others in a better manner. So it is not only helping the organization, but it also helps the employee to help to know himself in a better manner as well as others also in a better manner. Normally, the normal human tendency is that we as a normal human being always try to find fault in others' work, and we always ignore our small mistakes. But we will be very happy to point out the smallest mistake carried out by the other person. That is a normal human tendency. But if you are aware of human psychology, if you know this human psychology, then you will be able to understand yourself in a better manner, and you will be able to understand others also. Now, if a manager knows human psychology, he understands human behavior, then he is in a better position to understand others also. That we had discussed when we were discussing the difference between two words, sympathy and empathy. How empathy is related with organizational behavior and sympathy is not. That we had already discussed. Now, next one, organizational behavior is useful in maintaining cordial industrial relations. Cordial means harmonious industrial relations or good industrial relations. And the meaning of industrial relation is very simple. The relationship which exists between the employees and the management of the organization is called as industrial relations. In simple word, we can define like this the term industrial relations. The technical definition is different, which is given under law. That is absolutely different. So we will not go in detail what the technical definition of industrial relation is. But in general, if we talk about the meaning of industrial relation, then it comes out to be the relationship that exists in an organization between the employees and the management is called as industrial relations. Now, this relation will be positive if the management understands the requirement of the employees. But this relationship will not be positive if the management is unable to understand the requirements of the employees. So that is why it is said that it can be used in maintaining harmonious or smooth or good industrial relations between both the parties. Because the reason is very simple. The result, if good relations are there, the result will be profitability. If the relations are not good, the result will be loss for the organization. क्योंकि अगर रिजल्ट अच्छा नहीं रहेगा, सॉरी, अगर रिलेशंस अच्छे नहीं रहेंगे दोनों के बीच में, तो क्या होगा? या तो स्ट्राइक हो सकता है, या लॉकआउट हो सकता है, या क्लोजर हो सकता है, और इन तीनों भी कंडीशन में ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को प्रॉफिट कभी भी नहीं होता। तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को लॉस होगा, एम्प्लॉइज को सैलरी नहीं मिलेगी, काम नहीं मिलेगा, इसीलिए एम्प्लॉइज को भी लॉस होगा। So that is why it is very essential that you should be aware of human psychology. Now, recent example we can quote here is the ongoing strike of MSRTC employees. I hope that everyone of you is aware of that strike. पता है ना क्या है वो? MSRTC का strike रोज न्यूज में आता है. Can anybody explain me what is that and what is the reason for that strike? Now around 3 months are there and everyone is in problem. If we want to travel from one place to another, earlier from one city to another city, MSRTC buses were considered as the safest, easiest and most economical way of traveling. But for the last around 3 months, everything has stopped and now we have to adopt some dangerous, what we can say, situations. We have to accept that when we are traveling in private vehicles. So that is, yes. So we were discussing about the reasons of the strike. क्या है reason? Who will explain? सबको शायद पता होगा.
Less salary. So delayed in salary and for the less salary.
So there are multiple demands over there. They have to merge their cooperative field into the government field. That is the most emerging topic on that. And the second one is their salary. And they're all temporary employees needs
your
to
name?
merge. Mahesh Bhujbal.
Okay, Mahesh, very good.
Yeah, and they have to merge their firm as a cooperative society to the government. Yeah, that's it.
Sir, Abhishek here.
Abhishek.
Sir, I think that the job satisfaction is the main factor behind the strike. And salary is the secondary issue.
Very good.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, Anurag here.
Yes,
What
Anurag.
I think, like maybe their organization is going to adopt the new accounting, the taxation method called 115 BAC. Maybe they will not receive any kind of deductions in their income, so that they have been striking.
Can you come
because
again?
I have when we
Yes. Hello.
when we file income tax return, so we have an option to adopt or maybe to take benefits of deductions, right? So after that, there was new tax regime come, and that tax regime shows like if you are adopting 115 BAC tax regime, so you are not even allowed to take standard deductions also. So
that is not the scenario. No, that is not their
I
demand.
have seen one company and their employees was striking there just because
No, we are talking about MSRTC. Now be specific. Yeah, there that can be the reason for that particular company. We are talking about an organization which is there for more than 70 years. What has happened that the organization has now, their employees have stopped working and they are not working for around 3 months. So they are losing their salary. Similarly, the organization is also losing profits. So we are talking about the study of human psychology. Now the case is very simple, that they are not happy with the working condition. That was the first thing. So that was primary, and later on all the demands started coming up, and now the demands are totally different. Now, when we are talking about that a person should be aware of human psychology. Now here, if their bosses were aware of, or say if they know human psychology, then they would have handled this particular case in a different manner. But now the way the case is being handled, it is creating loss for the organization, it is creating loss for the employees, and it is proving disturbing for the society also, general public also, because general public is also at loss. Same thing happens in the organization also. If the organization doesn't know the importance of human psychology, then these things may happen in an organization also. So first they have to go to the root cause, understand their problems, and the organization should try to handle it in a efficient manner. It cannot be handled in an autocratic situation where that, okay, this is the deadline, if you do not report to the work, we will remove you. This could not be an alternative. This is some sort of autocratic model of organizational behavior. Now please just think that 1 lakh employees are there. If suddenly these 1 lakh employees are to be replaced, it is not easier for the organization to replace all of a sudden 1 lakh employees and hire another 1 lakh new employee in place of them. There can be chaos, there can be strike, or there can be violence, anything can happen. Same situation can happen in organization also. So organization has to handle the employees very carefully if they want to make the employees profitable. So that was the main reason how the cases should be handled and why human psychology is very important. Next one. Reader, very simple. Reader is interested in pursuing a career in management and wants to learn how to predict behavior. So you all, as you all have taken admission in a Master of Business Administration, you want to pursue career in MBA in an organization after completing MBA. That is why you have chosen this particular course. Now, as a student, you also want to learn that tomorrow when I'll be working in an organization, how I can predict the behavior of an employee. If you are able to learn these techniques, then it will be helpful for you when you will start working in the organization. When we will be discussing our concepts like Jory window and transactional analysis, then we will have some exercises also where you will able to understand how you can predict the human behavior. Now next that we will be discussing is the motivation part under chapter number 1. So motivation, now we will be discussing the 2 theories of motivation. First theory that we will be discussing is Maslow's theory of need hierarchy, and the other theory which we will be discussing is the theory of 2 factor, which was given by Douglas Hosberg, or McGregor has given this theory. Now, before moving on to the need hierarchy theory of Abraham Maslow, we will just take a quick look what is the meaning of motivation. Since our childhood, we know this term called motivation, and we all are aware of the meaning also. Just a quick look we will take. So Michael J. Jusius has defined motivation as the act of stimulating someone or oneself to get desired course of action, or to push the right button to get a desired reaction. That is the definition given by Michael Jusius. The second definition says that motivation is a process of inducing, inspiring, and energizing people to work willingly with zeal, initiative, confidence, satisfaction, and an integrated manner to achieve desired goals. It is a morale boosting activity. So motivation, we know, and we have been facing this situation since our childhood. Everyone has faced or has gone through with this situation. Earlier, when you were child, you might be motivated by your parents by giving you an offer that if you perform well in your SSC examination, we will give you a particular thing, maybe a bike, maybe a cycle, maybe a video game, maybe a watch, maybe a mobile phone. So one or the other offer is given by the parent to child that if you perform well, we will give you this. And as a result of that, the child pushes his or her ability, and he or she, why is pushing her ability? Because one prize is there which is stimulating the child to achieve the target, and the target is good marks in SSC. And what is stimulating? The prize which is being promised by the parent is stimulating. So same way for motivation is that when we are pushing the employees, not literal push we are talking about psychological push. When the organization is pushing the employees to give his 100% willingly without any force, then we can say that the organization is trying to motivate the person. Then in the other definition, in the first definition it is mentioned stimulating someone or oneself. Here we can say that there can be two types of motivation. One is external motivation and the other one is called as internal motivation. When we discuss the child of a example of a parent and child, that can be called as the example under external motivation. कि बच्चा क्यों ज्यादा पढ़ाई कर रहा है, क्यों ज्यादा मार्क्स लाने की कोशिश कर रहा है, क्योंकि उसे एक ऑफर दिया गया है. क्या ऑफर है? जो उसे पसंद है. अगर उसे मोबाइल पसंद है तो पेरेंट्स बोलते हैं कि मोबाइल देंगे अगर अच्छे मार्क्स आएंगे. बाइक पसंद है तो बाइक मिलेगी अगर अच्छे मार्क्स आएंगे. And that is the factor which is pushing the child to achieve the target of good marks in the SSC examination. That is external. When we talk about internal motivation, without any external stimulus or stimuli or external prize, when a person feels from inside that he wants to prove or she wants to prove that he or she can do good in studies or in work, and without any benefit, thinking of any benefit, if the person is performing, then we can say it is internal motivation. बच्चे को पेरेंट्स ने कोई भी मोटिवेशन नहीं दिया, कोई ऑफर नहीं दिया, पर बच्चे को फिर भी बच्चा अगर ज्यादा पढ़ाई करता है और उसे लगता है कि अगर मेरे ज्यादा मार्क्स आए तो मेरे पेरेंट्स बहुत खुश होंगे, मेरे फ्रेंड्स बहुत खुश होंगे, मेरे नेबर्स बहुत खुश होंगे, मेरे रिलेटिव्स बहुत खुश होंगे, अगर इसके लिए अगर वो ज्यादा मेहनत करके ज्यादा मार्क्स लेके आता है, then we can say that this is a type of internal motivation. So the basic aim of motivation is to induce or to inspire or to energize a person for better productivity, for using 100% of his efforts. That is called as motivation. Yes. Now we will be talking about the theories of motivation. Some part of these theories of motivation we had discussed under our evolution of organizational behavior. Now we will be again discussing in brief about these two theories, because Maslow's hierarchy, I think in detail we had discussed, but Herzberg's two-factor theory we had just touched upon. So we will quickly first complete this Maslow's theory of need hierarchy, and then we will move on to the Herzberg's two-factor theory. So Maslow's need hierarchy theory is based on 5 needs. First need is called as physiological need. Second is safety and security needs. Third, love and belonging, that is social needs. Next is self-esteem need, and last one is self-actualization need. So these 5 needs can motivate the employees. So before the emergence of this model of need hierarchy by Abraham Maslow, the earlier belief was very simple, and that belief was that if you want to motivate the employees of the organization, one simple thing you have to do is increase the salary of the employee, and automatically employee will start performing. That was the belief earlier. Later on, even after increasing the salary of the employees on number of occasions, it was realized by the organizations that their performance is not improving in the way which was expected by the organization. And to study the reason behind that, the help of psychologists were undertaken by various organizations. And Abraham Maslow came up with the first theory of organizational behavior, which was based on the motivation, that how we can motivate the employees. And his theory is based on need hierarchy. After conducting a practice of this particular theory in various organizations, and after checking the conclusions of this theory in various organizations, the 5 needs were identified and they were hierarchical arranged by Abraham Maslow. He said that first theory is physiological need. Money can be the best motivating factor for the employee at the start of the career. At the start of the career, the best motivating factor is money. If you pay more salary to the employee in the initial years, yes, he feels satisfied, and that satisfaction can be reflected in his performance also. But after some time, money is not the best motivating factor for that particular person, and his priority changes from money to security. Security, here we are talking about job security. Here, now the person starts thinking of job security, that I want to make sure that I will be retained by the organization. His now main focus is that I should not look every now and then for the next opportunity in some or the other organization, but now I should get a confirmed position in the organization where I am working for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So here, what can motivate this gentleman is giving him or her the job security. Okay, if you are performing in a better manner, if you are performing nicely in the organization, then your job is very much secured in the organization. If such thing happens, that means he is getting job security. So for some period of time, till this need of job security is met, the person will be motivated by this job security. But after some time, again, this job security will not be motivating him always, as we have seen the case of money. Money can motivate you once, twice, thrice, or many times, but not always. Same is the case with job security also. It can motivate the employee for 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, but not always, because your priority changes with changing time. Your need changes with changing time. And now Abraham Maslow said that once the individual employee has achieved the hierarchy, the need of second hierarchy, that is safety and security need, then his other need starts coming into fore. And the other need is social need, which is also called as love and belonging need. Now here, the employee starts looking for friends in the organization where he can spend time with them or where he can enjoy working with them. He is looking peers, that in his peers, in his colleagues, in his subordinates, in his superiors, where he can enjoy working. So that is in social needs, or where love and belonging is there. Now, why this need is also important? Because you are investing most part of your day in the organization. 8 to 10 hours you are spending in the organization in doing your work. That is major part of the day. And if you are not enjoying working with your colleagues, with your subordinates, or with your superiors, you are not going to stay longer in that organization. That is why you will be happy if others are also enjoying in your company and you are enjoying in others' company. So that is level number 3. So you will be happy if in the organization you will be retaining in the organization. You will stick to the organization if you enjoy working with your friends. Next. But after some time, again, when this need is fulfilled, then your other needs comes into picture. And that other need is called as self-esteem or respect. Now here you start expecting that you should be respected by the other employees in the organization. You want respect of your superiors, you want respect of your colleagues, you want respect of your subordinates. If your subordinate, colleagues, and your bosses are respecting you because of your behavior or because of your performance in the organization, then you feel motivated to work more in the organization. मुझे सब रिस्पेक्ट देते हैं, मेरे सबऑर्डिनेट्स भी, मेरे सुपेरियर्स भी, मेरे कलीग्स भी, तो मुझे क्या लगेगा? I feel very much satisfied, I will feel very much happy in the organization, and my performance is going to improve. Because there is a saying, a happy worker is always a productive worker, but a satisfied worker may not always be a productive worker. I'll repeat it. Happy worker is always a productive worker. Satisfied worker may not be always a productive worker. Why it is so? क्या डिफरेंस है दोनों में? जो एम्प्लॉय खुश है वो हमेशा प्रोडक्टिव होता है, एंड this has been proved with the help of various researches conducted by psychologists under organizational behavior. It is also being proved that a person who is satisfied with his job may not always be a productive employee. Who will explain me this? कि एक जो वर्कर एम्प्लॉय खुश है वो हमेशा प्रोडक्टिव है, जो एम्प्लॉय सेटिस्फाइड है वो कभी प्रोडक्टिव है कभी नहीं है, हमेशा प्रोडक्टिव नहीं है. The reason is very simple. We are happy if we enjoy work, and we are satisfied when we are getting what we require. मुझे 10,000 सैलरी चाहिए, मुझे 10,000 सैलरी मिल रही है तो मैं सेटिस्फाइड हो जाता हूं. मैं जब खुश रहूंगा, अगर मुझे खुश होने के लिए क्या चाहिए? सैलरी इतनी चाहिए, वर्किंग कंडीशंस अच्छे होने चाहिए, मुझे कुछ अथॉरिटी होनी चाहिए. अगर ये सब चीजें रहेंगी तो आई विल एंजॉय माई वर्क. When I enjoy my work, I am happy. When I am happy, I am more productive. So government employees are satisfied with their job. They are aware of this fact that they cannot be removed from their chairs, from their positions, from their job. That is the reason why their production, why their efficiency is not improving, why their productivity is not improving. But when you are happy, when you enjoy your work, you are always productive. The results are always positive. That is why the saying is there. Now, respect. When you are respected by everyone in the organization, you start enjoying the work, you feel happy to work in an organization, automatically your efficiency will be more, your productivity will be more. Next, or the last one, is self-actualization. Self-actualization we had discussed earlier also. So self-actualization means achieving what you had thought of when you entered the organization or when you started working in an organization. जब हम ज्वाइन करते हैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, जोश रहता है, एनर्जी रहती है कि 10 साल बाद, 20 साल बाद, 30 साल बाद मैं इतनी मेहनत करूंगा कि मुझे मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर बनना है, मैं इतनी मेहनत करूंगी कि मुझे सीईओ बनना है। ये सब हर कोई सोचता है, हर एम्प्लॉई जो ज्वाइन करता है वो हमेशा सोचता है कि उसे यहां तक पहुंचना है, पर क्योंकि वो पोजीशन बहुत कम रहते हैं, एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में 50 मैनेजर्स हो सकते हैं, पर सीईओ एक ही होगा, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एक ही होगा, प्रेसिडेंट एक ही होगा। तो जो हायरार्की जैसे जैसे ऊपर जाती है वैसे वैसे कम होती है। तो नंबर ऑफ पीपल, नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज who can achieve that particular target which they have set at the time when they started working in the organization, that is very less. That achievability is very less. So the study indicates that less than 1% employee can achieve this need of self-actualization. So it is a need which is very difficult to be fulfilled. तो जिसकी वो नीड फुलफिल हो जाती है वो लास्ट तक प्रोडक्टिव ही रहता है, वो लास्ट तक एक हैप्पी एम्प्लॉई ही बना रहता है. So that was related to Maslow's theory of need hierarchy. Now we will move on to the Herzberg's two-factor theory. Now here what Herzberg said is that my theory will give you better result. Instead of the theory of Maslow's need hierarchy, my theory is best theory for better results. That was the claim by Herzberg. So Herzberg theory is called as two-factor or two-principle theory. Two factors he categorized, and these two factors he categorized as job dissatisfaction and job satisfaction. What are the things which can lead to job satisfaction, and what are the things which can lead to job dissatisfaction? And he said that the factors which results in job satisfaction can be called as motivating factors, whereas the factors which results in job dissatisfaction can be called as hygiene factors. So job dissatisfaction is result of hygiene factors, and job satisfaction is the result of motivating factors or motivator factors. Under job dissatisfaction or hygiene factor, he categorized terms or factors like working conditions, co-worker relations, politics, policies and rules, supervisor quality, base wage and salary. So these are the things which he regarded that these are, or these can be called as or can be categorized as hygiene factor which leads to job dissatisfaction. Whereas achievement, recognition, responsibility, work itself, advancement, personal growth are categorized as motivator factor or job satisfaction factor. So what he said is that if you provide achievement, recognition, responsibility, work itself, advancement, personal growth opportunity in the organization to the employee, then employee's result will be better satisfaction. He will be happy, he will enjoy working in the organization, and his results will be better. But if the organization is providing less salary or the quality of supervision is very rigid, or the policies and rules of the organization are not transparent, or if the relations between the employees are not good, or the working conditions provided in the organizations are not good, then these things can result in dissatisfaction of job, or they will be called as hygiene factors. Now, why policies and rules are included in the hygiene factor? The reason is very simple. There are policies, there are rules made in every organization, whether it is a small organization, medium organization, or a large scale organization, or a multinational organization. Every organization is having a set of rules for performance. But it is not that each and every organization implement those rules in a transparent manner. If a organization is having a rule that performance based promotion will be given to the employees, and when the company or when the organization is evaluating the performance of a relative of HR manager, and if the growth or promotion of that relative is done only on the basis of his relation with the HR manager, and the exact rule of performance based promotion is ignored for a particular case, then we can say the organization is not implementing the rules in a transparent manner. So this particular organization will, for this organization, this policies and rules will be the negative factor or dissatisfaction factor, or they will be called as hygiene factors. Working condition should be how it should motivate the employee to work. Now, on television, in news, it is you might have seen many times the office of Google or office of Microsoft. When our Prime Minister 2-3 years back visited the Google office, at that particular time, the detailed office was shown on various news channels, that how the working conditions are there in Google. So no desks were there, no cubicles were there, and there was flexibility of working given to the employees. There was flexibility of time given to the employees. You have to complete a particular target. Now you decide from here where you want to complete the target. You can sit in a garden and complete that target, or you can sit in a restaurant of the company. You can enjoy your food, and on that particular platform also you can complete your target. You can be in gym and complete your target. So you decide where you want to be and at what time you want to be. Only thing required is you have to complete the target. When such facilities are given to the employees, the result is always positive. So that is why if working conditions are good, then they can be called as they will be resulting in motivating factor. But if they are not good, then it will result in dissatisfaction or negative growth for the employer, organization, or for the employees also. Now, when we talk about recognition is what? Recognizing the effort of the individual employee or group of employee or team is very important. If you recognize the efforts in front of others, automatically not only the person whose efforts are recognized, he will feel motivated, the other may feel motivated that this time his efforts are recognized in front of all the employees of the organization. Next time, if I outperform the target, if I exceed the target, my efforts will be recognized by the senior manager or management of the organization in front of all the organization. So that is how these motivating factor always motivate the employee for better production, better productivity. So we will stop here as we have already crossed the time, and tomorrow or Monday when we will meet, we will discuss about the other theories of motivation, the other 2 or 3 more theories which are expected from syllabus point of view, that we will take for discussion in our next lecture. So thank you everyone for joining today's session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.